Welcome back. Now we're doing the feature analysis. Remember, um, yeah, we've already done the correlation matrix, and now we're going to feature analysis, and then we're going to go distribution of traits by the most important feature. So let's begin. Feature importance analysis. So first, of course, because you will be training a model here, you have to prepare the features, which are the dependent and the independent variables. Yeah, in the x, now these are the independent variables you will choose from your data sets. This from these columns you will choose the ones that are independent. All right, you can either include or not include instruments. For this one I decide not to include the instrument, but we're going to include the day, date, entry time, uh, type, entry point, right? Those are the only ones we're going to include as independent variables on this one, right? So we're going to cancel the PSL and the outcome, right? Done. So now we're going to now with the Y. Then you split the data into training and testing size. Yeah. Remember, this is not a very big data set. So if you're not working with a big data set, it's important you choose which model you're going to use, and we use the XGB one because it's kind of good with this kind of data. So now this is training the model, and let's see if it's going to work. My god, back to here. Segment an error here. Done. Then now let's see. Yeah, it's done, it's been trained, and yeah, so now we can continue. Now continuing, this is where we now get the feature importances. Yeah, that's it. This should work. This is getting the feature importances from the model we've just trained, and then loading the feature importances onto a data frame, columns, two columns, feature and importance, and then you're going to sort by importance. Right. Let's do that and see. Yeah, it's done, and these are the importances. Like you can see, dates is the most important feature, entry time is also very important, and then day, entry point, type is the least. So this is feature importance for the whole, all of them combined, like regardless of what instrument you're trading. These are the features in order of importance. All right, so you can add a mark down here and write your conclusions, rather your observations. Yeah, and say most important feature is date, right? So now, the next part that you are supposed to, the next thing you're supposed to do is now to get the feature importance for each instrument. All right, let's write that feature importance for each instrument. Like now, this model that we've trained it on the whole data set, now we're going to train the model for each and every instrument separately, and then get the feature importances for each of those instruments. Yeah, for this one, unfortunately, we'll have to start again with this part. Where is that? We'll have to start with the data sets again, because by the time we are what do you call it? By the time we're running all of these cells, if we now start again here using the same encoders as the ones in the above cells, that's going to really mess up our models, and we're not going to get any results. We're just going to get a lot of errors. So what you have to do is to start again with the file path, and then remove the trail, do the same treatment that you did to the data above there, encode the data afresh, and then eventually, now that's when you come to train the model. So for this one, I had prepared a separate long code for this particular part. So let me just go get it, and then I'll come and paste it here. Yeah, it's done. I've pasted it, and as you can see, it's the same thing with what was above there, because we start with loading the file path, the file itself, and then you strip the columns for blank spaces, and then ensure convert it to uppercase, blah blah. Then the encoders, you will have to encode these differently, because as you can see here, the encoder, the columns here are not the same as what was the ones that are in the previous cells. That's why I had to do this afresh, right? Then the encoder outcome, and then the instrument list, because there are 4 instruments: gold, EURUSD, NAS, USDT, and then convert the outcome classes to their string labels, because yeah, when okay, that's a bit confusing at that part. Then this is the one where I told you you'll have to look through each instrument, build and train the model for each instrument. So like we did here above, this model was for the whole data set combined, all I think 194, 192 rows. This model was built on all of them. But now here we are going to build a model for each and every instrument, right? That's why it's like this. It's a for loop, and when trying to do the feature importance for each instrument, you have to train the model for each instrument you trade, and then yeah, you'll get the results. So something else I should highlight is that if in your journal you have like like just one instrument only, maybe you're a scalper and you only scalp one instrument, so your whole data set is only one instrument, there's no need to do this part, feature importance for each instrument. This is important for someone like me, who my journal has different instruments, only 4, so I have to do the feature importance for each and every one of them. All right, so let's run this code and see if it's going to work or throw some errors. Yeah, it has worked. Yeah, and as you can see, these are now the feature importances for each of these 4 instruments. This is the classification report for gold, and as you can see, the model accuracy was around 67%, which isn't too bad. And the most important feature is date and day, right? This is for gold, and you can see there's a chart here. And another one, classification report is too much for Euro USD, almost similar to what you had in gold. The model predicted a break-even outcome with 100% accuracy, predicted a loss with 71% accuracy, predicted a win with 50% accuracy. So the overall accuracy of the system is 0.64%, and the most important feature is date and day. Right, moving on. This is NASA 100. Um, Precision. This precision is for the training set. This is for the test set, and this is the average, right? So this one was not accurate at all when it came to predicting a win, but still, the fact that it was able to accurately predict the losses and the break events, it makes it somewhat reliable, right? So the results here are not entirely useless. So feature importance, date, day, these are the most important ones. And then again, finally coming to USDT, feature importance, date, day. All right. So now we've seen for ourselves the most important feature for each of these instruments is still the date and followed by the day. So but for this one, our observations, we're not going to write them at the bottom here, because you don't want to scroll too much to reach something small. So let's just put it here above, or rather in the same markdown as this one, right? It's done. Now we've written our observation there. That's the most important feature for each instrument is date followed by the day. And then finally, before we exit this notebook, uh, we said now we're going to see the distribution of trades or distribution of outcomes by the most important feature. We say we've seen the most important feature is date. So we're going to view how the wins and losses and break evens were distributed according to the date. So let's go back down here and now start with another code, right? Again, still because um, the data now is has been encoded in the above cells. What we're going to do is now load the file again and then use that new data to view new not new but an encoded data to view the outcomes. All right, so let's begin. Yeah, I think that's it for the code. Now let's run it and see if it's going to bring up results or start throwing errors. Yeah, these are the results, and you can see distribution of outcomes by date and win loss break even. As you can see, it's kind of true that the date would be very important in telling you if the trade is going to be a winning loss or a winning trade or a losing trade or break even one. As you can see, most of the wins are concentrated during the last weeks, during the last days of the week. And yeah, some of the wins are during the first few days of the month. And in the middle of the month, there's nothing. There are almost no wins. There's only one, right? So in the middle of the month, there are usually no wins, just very many losses. Therefore, it's telling you, or rather, it's reinforcing the conclusion that we saw up here that the date is the most important feature when it comes to determining if the trade is going to be a winning one or a losing one. And don't worry, we're going to see even the last year's data and try and see if this case was also true, right? But for now, this is it. All right, and we have proved that yeah, it seems the date is really important in trying to determine if the trade is going to be a winning trade or a losing trade. So that's it. Yeah, for this one, you don't need to write any conclusions. It's just here you can see for yourself. And what you're going to do now is save this file, right? Click file and save. That's it. It's been saved, and you can refer back to it whenever you want to either make some more computations or try and do some extra manipulation with your data and yeah to view some more insights. But for now we are done because these are the main objectives for this notebook: the correlation matrix, feature analysis, the distribution of trades, right? So yeah, the as for the observations, the conclusions you've or the observations you've noted throughout the notebook, you can write them somewhere or physically or pen and paper on your journal, the physical one, write the observations so that when you come to the visualization part, you're actually going to compare those observations with what you're now seeing in the data sets. All right. So yeah, I'm now done with this video, and I'm not done with this VS Code thing. The next video we're going to use is the Power BI. VS Code, I think if you're a trader, you are almost by default interested in algorithms and data analytics. And yeah, I am assuming everyone has VS Code on their PC. Every trader has VS Code or something similar on their PC. So I think that's it for this one. We'll have to stop this video here, and I'll see you in the next one.